Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? How was your weekend? Welcome to day 2. I've got a list of notes today and some things for you to think about and some reflections that I've been having over the weekend. So the first thing I want to talk about is, sorry, I've got too many devices, I've got too many notes. Right. So on Saturday I did a long run. I woke up with a bizarre amount of energy, which can go one of two ways. If I don't harness it, I can feel a bit silly all day and a bit scattered and here, there and everywhere. And I knew that I just wanted to move it. And it was a nice day. It wasn't too hot and I wanted to get out and about. I set myself a challenge of doing a long run. So the goal was 10K. Now I can now comfortably run 5 or 6K. And I've built that running up, over 15 years, I would say, with some big gaps in the middle when I had my babies and when I couldn't be asked. Let's be truthful, shall we? So yes, that running habit has been in my life for a long time, but it hasn't always been consistent. And I got to the stage a little while ago where I was like, come on, Raby. And that's when I have like a strong word with myself. Come on, Raby, you know that running works for you. And I'm not here to convince you to run, but if you do want to run, start with Couch to 5K because it's amazing. But it was a real sign for me of asking myself, why was I resisting the running? Why was I doing it? Oh, I didn't have time. Didn't want to. It was too hot. It was too rainy. All of the excuses. And I know those excuses will always still be there. And sometimes they will be the loudest voice in my head. And that is my clue just to get my trainers on. It's almost like you have that moment of saying, all right, shush. Now I need to get moving and shaking and all the rest of it. So Saturday morning, I woke up and I thought, right, let's see where I am with a 10K. Can I do this? And the first thing that I always do when I'm setting myself a goal in terms of fitness is I make it exciting for myself. So I mapped it out and I thought about where I was going to run to. And I am still a tourist in London, even though I've lived here for 23 years. I get really excited when I see a tube station and I can run past it and almost touch it. Not that I would, because some of them are a bit grubby, but you know what I mean. So I decided to run to Islington. Now, I used to live in Islington between 2009 to 2011, and I'll share what I wrote about that. So that was the goal. That was the goal, to run to Angel Tube and back. And I did it. I did it without stopping. And I was that person. And if you're watching this on the video, you'll be able to see. But I was kind of jigging about at a traffic light because I knew as soon as I stopped or as soon as I just let my legs relax, I might be thinking, and also as well, running on a Saturday morning, there's always so many nice bakeries that are just kind of giving out lovely sugary carb smells. So I have to keep myself focused. Anyway, I did that. Now, there's a few things that I want to talk about in terms of that. And this is going to be great in terms of business. So one of the goals in terms of this was to essentially run double what I was used to. So from a kind of 5-6K, I decided that I was going to run 10K. And sometimes there is this assumption that when we set a goal and we just double it, it will just happen. It's just a numbers game. It will just multiply. And after a while, once you build that habit, yes, that might be true. But the first time that you do that, whether that's with a fitness goal, whether that's an income goal, whether that's a visibility goal, whatever it might be, the first time that you do it, it feels way more than double. It feels like 10 times the effort because your body is going into a new realm. It feels stretched. It's working it out. And it's almost like for me personally, it's almost like walking home with a very tired, sweaty, over emotional toddler. And that's the voice that's in my head. I feel it all. I just want to lie down on the pavement. And so that assumption that if you just double something, wham bam, great, it will be all good. For me, that is not the case. So here's what I really learned. I said to my family, who were having a very slow day and they were in the garden and all the rest of it, so it wasn't like they were missing me or anything like that. I told them what my goal was. And I also said to Matt, I don't know how long it's going to take, because I hadn't done 10K for a really long time. And what I didn't do was put a time limit on it. And this was the key. I mean, I hoped that I would finish before the end of the afternoon or even the morning, but I didn't stretch myself in terms of getting something done immediately. All I did was I committed to the goal. I committed to finishing. And yes, there were times where it felt like it wasn't going to happen, or I would look at my Fitbit and think, I've only done 2.2K and I've got so far to go. But then it all came around again and it was all groovy. And so today I want to ask you about your own goals and where you're up to with them, and what the double version of that goal looks and feels like. Because if you can do one thing, it's likely you will be able to double it. So now it's a case of working out, therefore, what do you need? And in this circumstance, what I needed was no time expiry time. Because as soon as I feel that I have to go really fast in terms of running, immediately my breathing changes. Immediately I feel a bit panicked. Immediately I actually don't feel in my body. I feel like I've been taken out of it. And that is not conducive to running a long way, or a long way for me. And so knowing that I had that sense of, I can do this. I'm just gonna maybe be a little bit slow today. I'm all good. These streets feel familiar to me. I feel excited about this. Immediately, I eased into it and I enjoyed the process. So have a think about what that might mean to you. I'm also next going to read you something that I wrote about this. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can do. There's the picture. Can you see it? So this is where I lived in between 2009 to 2011. And this is what I wrote. I lived in this building on Liverpool Road, N7, from 2009 to 2011. I loved living in Islington. However, these 2 years were some of my most painful and emotional. I created a loop for myself. Out the door, left down Liverpool Road to Angel Station, and then down Upper Street into Holloway Road and back into the front door. You can follow this on the map if you want to see it. The loop was about 15 minutes, and it was there whenever I needed it and whatever I needed it for. It was perfect for moving my body, processing emotion, planning my future, figuring out hard stuff, and creating creative ideas. Today, I did the same loop as part of my run, which turned out to be 11.4. Yes, I know. I did stop running after 10.4 because I was a bit out of breath, but the whole route was 11.4, so I was really pleased with that. And then I did go on to have a nap. Life is very different now in 2023, yet similar. Lots have changed, lots have stayed the same, and now as I go down Upper Street, I see where my babies were registered at the town hall. I used to hope on those runs that I would be lucky enough to become a mum. That route at the time was transformational and so healing. And the flat also welcomed a comedy cleaner, Jeanette, and her name was, who we found laying on our sofa watching our telly with a cup of tea in hand. She totally was. She was just laying back, just relaxing. And me and my flatmate Kat were like, Jeanette, hi, what are you up to? I no longer live in Islington, but I have created new loops, and ultimately it still blows my mind that I can run past a tube station. Not quite a tourist 23 years later, but definitely easily impressed. So that was my running journey on Saturday. And for me, it was really great in terms of, stretching myself, seeing what was what. And again, creating those new loops. Now, you might just like to walk around the block, but consider what that loop could look like, especially if you are in a growth period, especially if you are wanting and trying out big things at the moment. Dedicating some time to saying, right, I'm just going to walk for the next 15 minutes and seeing what comes up is incredibly powerful. Another thing I want to talk about today is a book that I finished over the weekend called Work Like a Woman. And this is by Mary Portas, who I have really admired for many years. I think she's a trailblazer. I think she speaks up. I think she gets stuff done. I think she's bold. There's so much of her character that I really admire, and I just think, wow, go on, yeah, great. And I love watching her on TV when she says the things that clearly everybody's thinking, and she creates change. Anyway, there are so many stats in this book about careers, women in the workplace, how people respond, different chapters of your life. So I can highly, highly recommend this book if you're at any stage of your career, and also if your career has looked a little bit different, or maybe you were employed, maybe you've gone freelance, or maybe you stopped for a while with children and now you're going back. Maybe you want to do something completely different. The thing that I really got from it was that sense of doing it for the greater good. So for society, for womanhood, for community, for other generations, for other people in a team. And I think we can find, and certainly from talks that I've done over the years, sometimes because it's deeply personal, we can make it about us. And what I mean by this is, if you're not feeling good or confident, or you're trying something and you're not sure, or if you're full of imposter syndrome or self-doubt or self-worth, or all of the above, quite frankly, we can get really let me talk about it from a personal point of view. I can get really consumed by that. And if I don't keep an eye on it, it can take me down. So this is going to be perfect for you to help you move out of your own way. And that's what I really got. I just thought, and this might sound a bit harsh, the way I was speaking to myself, but I ultimately came away from reading that book going, you've just got to get on with it. You've just got to make some moves, because this swimming around like, oh, I don't know, la 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 la, that doesn't help me either. So if you want some encouragement, if you want a book that's going to help you remind you who you are, this is going to be perfect for you. Another exercise I did over the weekend, because my kids went away for a sleepover just for the night, but I had about 18 hours to myself. I couldn't believe it. Was it 18? Yeah, about that. They went about 3 and came back 9 o'clock the next morning. And naturally, I wake up really early. And one of the things that I've really noticed recently is that everything is a bit mishmash together. And I was talking to a mum the other day about this, that I was saying I want to create some more boundaries in my life, as in when things are starting, when they're finishing, when I'm doing one thing, when I'm stopping doing that thing, when I'm doing something else. So I created a brand new email for myself, just a Google email, and I created and with that you get Google Drive. I love Google Drive, it's excellent. And I decided to create containers, so different folders for my future, essentially. So things that I was working on, things that inspired me, different topics that I was looking at. I created a folder where I was going to finally pull together all my testimonials of work that I'd previously done that will help me move forward. And it was such a lovely process. And I think what I'd been missing for a while is that sense of here is me actually taking action and dropping in bits of my next stage, my next chapter, my dream life. I mean, lots of my life is my dream life right now, but those moments where I could really see my progress. And I know that impatience is one of my not so great qualities. And sometimes when I'm doing things, I can feel like I'm not making progress or it's not happening quick enough. And what I've now created are these containers where I can drop in things that are happening, things that I want to remember. And it feels so good. It feels so good. So have a little think about that. A couple of final things. These daily vlogs are ending up being longer than I thought, but we are where we are. Actually, 3 more things. Let me show you something. This I have been absolutely loving. It's Matty's and he's had it for years and years. It's called Bed of Nails, but you can get them from anywhere. And there's so many different versions on the internet. He's had it for years. It's a spike mat and you can read all about them. And I have been laying on it before I go to bed and sometimes during the day, just standing on it and feeling those sensations in my feet. It's not for the nervous. The first time you do it, you're like, hang on a minute, will I ever get used to this? But you will. And again, it's another thing that's really helping me to kind of open and close something. So saying, right, I'm going to start winding down for bed now, putting this on the bed and then lying down on it for 5 minutes. I'm trying to give my brain these signals of, this is what we're doing now. This is what's happening. So if you're interested in one of those, I will leave the link down below. 2 more things. I did my 500th day of Spanish today. That felt like a really lovely moment. Also, since 365 days, it feels like it's flown by. And finally, after 500 days of daily practice, and again, this is literally, I mean, sometimes I'll do 1 round to get my tick for the day. So sometimes it's literally 2 minutes 41 and I can do it really quickly. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, but finally, something has clicked with it. I'm not saying I'm fluent. I'm not saying phone me and we'll have a chat in Spanish. But I'm making links. Things are piecing together. It feels really great. Once again, if you want to try out Duolingo and come and see me on the leaderboard, let's do it. Also, if you're friends with people on there, it's really great because you can, I sound like such a geek. It's really great because you can congratulate each other and you get gems for being friends with other people. So if you want to do that, come and be friends with me. One final thing. Right, I'm not going to show you the details, but I will keep you posted on some of the things. So as I record this, it's Monday the 19th of June. And I have done something a little bit different today. I have worked out a 90-day plan. Sometimes 90 days feels too big for me. But I'm going to see. I'm going to try it and see what happens in those 90 days. And I also know that this 90 days ahead is not sort of atypical of how 90 days might work. So 90 days from January to April, for example, that can feel a bit more like, we're in January, it's cold, it's dark, I'm just kind of in the groove. And actually, because it's summer, because it's end of term, there are loads of different things happening in our lives at the moment. We're going to be traveling for some of it. I need a plan and I need to know where I'm aiming for. And therefore, if I know what I'm aiming for, I'm actually going to make some moves. So I have written my plan for 90 days. It feels really good. That is the first thing that I should say. It's really, really specific is another thing. So for example, the number of people that I want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. I've worked out what that number is, and therefore how many new subscribers is that per day. Same with my podcast, same with Instagram. Other things like the money that I want to make. So how many sales, what do I want to generate? Is that turnover? Is that profit? Is that cash received, or is that cash projected? What is it? I've really got into the specifics. And what does that mean per day? A really lovely thing happens quite often when you do something per day is it suddenly becomes a bit more possible. Now, of course, those numbers will increase and change if you don't hit your target on a day-to-day basis. But doing the maths and spending the first hour of my day doing this, it's been really, really great. Also with things like fitness, when I'm saying, oh, I really want to do some more exercise, what does that mean in the next 90 days? What does that mean? What does that look and feel like? And my aim is to check in every single day and to write and collect and collate the shifts, the things that happened. So yeah, I will keep you posted. I think that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me. If you would like to subscribe and join me over here, please do so. Please tell your pals. One thing I've also done with those goals, that was what I was going to say. I have, sounds very, I don't know what the word is, but I've really connected with my why. This is so key. Why do I want the things that I want? Because we all know that numbers are just numbers sometimes, unless they have meaning to us. So I have really sat with these goals, these things that I want to do. Why do I want to do that? So for example, when I'm thinking about the podcast, I am thinking, I really want to help that person who doesn't have money for coaching or a business course or 20 quid spare to go on a workshop or anything like that, but really, really needs some help and support with her business. Maybe she's a single mum, maybe she's got 3 kids, all of those things. How can I impact that? How can I make a difference? How can she find all of these free resources that I have for her? That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. If you're listening on the podcast, come over to YouTube because you can see all of the things in full. Likewise, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to come over to the podcast, there are so many episodes over there. And I think you might just find something that you really like. So do tell your friends, do subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.